Okay, good morning everybody. Playing some more of my new favorite deck in Modern, the Esper Reanimator featuring Aethermage's Touch and Witch's Cottage. I've made a couple small updates to the list where I've been viewing the one Teferi Time Raveler that I was main decking as a flex spot. I've decided to cut that card for the third copy of Witch's Cottage, going up one land total. I've been kind of interested in the third cottage. There's been like several games where it would have been nice to have, and I think having the extra land when the curve is like a bit higher with all these 4 drops is kind of nice too. I'm not 100% sure on the change, but I think it's solid. I also cut the second Terastodon from the board for the first Ashiok Dream Render. I think that this makes sense to me since you can Unmarked Grave the first copy of Terastodon against Tron and Titan, and then you can naturally draw your Ashiok, more so for Titan than for Tron, but you can naturally draw your Ashiok and kind of like stop the Titan deck a bit harder in the tracks. Kind of the main thinking behind playing the Ashiok is that I've played against a lot more Amulet Titan with this deck than Tron variants lately, so I think it makes a little bit more sense to hedge against that than than Tron itself, which I was with the second Terastodon before. Really small change. Ashiok also can come in against like Living In, it can come in against Dredge, it can come in the Mirror. So it's kind of a more flexible card too. But yeah, the list is feeling pretty tight. Yeah, it's like all 4 ofs and then 1 Unburial Rites as an Unmarked Grave tutor target. Very clean list. Probably a little bit too slow of a handle to draw. But this happens a lot where there's a new card printed, like Otherworldly Gaze, and that I gotta get asked about these kind of cards like nonstop, and and like I always start off kind of like less harsh, where I'm like, I don't think the card's very good, and like it was specifically in like this Phoenix deck I was working on. I think it was very good there. And I got asked about it like dozens and dozens of time a day, and I just like I've developed this reaction to like hate the card because I've had to just be so negative towards it all this time. My opponent's got Breeding Pool, Utopia Sprawl, and red. Very interesting. I think I'm just gonna not gonna go to discard here. Casimir, thank you for the Twitch Prime. Appreciate you. Oh, it is. Oh, why can't I remember the freaking name? The Teamer enchantment that I just my brain is like stun locked. I like literally can't. I can't know what the name of this deck is without asking chat because my brain is just so broken. Song of Creation. Thank you. Thank you. And I'm down to Terastodon now, which I guess is a bit of a problem too. The Terastodon was pretty good in this matchup. There's their song. Probably dead. You're shooting off grave if you play Gaze. Yeah, people are just like people hate Unmarked Grave. Unmarked Grave is like so important to the deck though. It's like people act like Otherworldly Gaze and Faithful Bending and Tainted Indulgence always put an Archon in the graveyard. But you only have 4 Archons in your deck. It's like you're really not very likely to put an Archon in the yard with one of these effects. How would I rate the song deck? I think it's very good. It's good. It's a good deck. I would definitely playable, a deck that I would recommend for combo players, for players who are looking for a unique way to attack the metagame. I think that it's very, very good against 4-color Omnath, like most spell-based combo decks are. I would say your weakest matchup is going to be Murktide. But you have I think you have a lot of game in every matchup, especially with your Pact of Negations.
What's up? It's me, your friend Aspiring Spike.
I would definitely recommend it. Okay, what's on like 9 cards? I think I'm gonna pack it in. Yeah, so we beat this matchup the first time we played it. I'm gonna cut these Solitudes for sure. Also, I got a new art Thoughtseizes from selling the full set I opened. Stony Silence turning off their treasure seems like really relevant, actually. I think I always cut the Mulldrifters. Kind of cut the 4th Teferi. I don't think do I want to play an Ashiok? Ashiok's maybe okay on the play. Teferi's very good. Oh yeah, he's subbing the Pact shenanigans. Maybe I'll play 2 Stony Silence, 2 Teferi. And you stop in the offer you can't refuse to. Yeah. Song is super weak to Thoughtseize with only 4 Song in the deck. Yeah. Maybe less good against me. I'm like, I think the 2 times I've Thoughtseized a Song, they've like immediately top decked it. But small sample size. And not statistically gonna happen that often. Down 7 creatures, do we still land on touch? Yeah, the idea is that I think once you trim down on these creatures, you're gonna be casting we have 9 creatures, but or down 7. The idea is that when you're going to be going down on creatures like this, you really have to rely on Witch's Cottage to set up for you, and that's part of the power of Unmarked Grave too, where like if you're not playing Unmarked Grave, it's really difficult to be in on this plan, but we are playing it, so it's not actually that difficult. We're here, we get to Unmarked Grave, an Archon or Terastodon into the yard, probably Terastodon, and then Aethermage just touch into it after we Witch's Cottage. Don't think I'm gonna grief this turn. I do have to decide if I'm getting the Archon though or the Terastodon. It's gotta be the Terastodon, I think. I could also Unmarked Grave for Unburial Rites next turn, or potentially save the Unmarked Grave for pitching to grief. I'm not sure yet. What about Fiend Player Paladin and Humans First Red Black and Pioneer? Seems like a good hate card. Yeah, I think it's a good choice. I think that's a somewhat popular option too, right? Ooh. So I guess I'll grief now. They have Endurance, maybe they pitch Endurance here, maybe they Veil of Summer. They do Veil of Summer. So I kind of feel like I probably need to destroy both of their lands and then my Mire. Remember, this is only hexproof from blue and black. It's not hexproof from... Ooh. Okay, well we can definitely make good use of this offer you can't refuse mana. Although we can't Witch's Cottage unless we draw a land next turn. Although any land in their deck is, of course, a swamp here. And we made them use the treasure. So really not so bad. We can even target these. If we draw a land, we can maybe target this with our rhinos. I bricked. I think I just pass here. I could try to draw step Aethermage's Touch, but I'm just going to pass. They missed their land jump too, so like I'm gonna hope they just flashback Striker Rich and I draw a land, and then I can maybe Ephemerate my Terastodon. What land they go up to? Go up a Witch's Cottage. I didn't cut a land. I cut a Teferi. I'm up 1 land. I don't think you can cut a land to play the 3rd Cottage. I think that in order to play 3rd Cottage, you have to be on 23. So if my opponent Teferis me, I can't end of turn Aethermage's Touch. They do get their Song of Creation, but they don't currently necessarily have a mana source. Any land is a good draw. Persist is a good draw. There's our land. Instep. And then we can also, of course, Ephemerate our our Terastodon. My opponent may have a Endurance, but what's nice about Endurance here is, like, if they pitch Endurance, then we still have an Aethermage's Touch in our hand. It's not like they're just getting to completely counter it. I do think I'm going to cast the Aethermage's Touch now. Obviously, especially now that we've cut the Mulldrifters, we're not actually very likely to hit, which is a problem. But we can still hit and high roll a little bit. And then I think I just have to take the Archon. They go down to 3 cards in their hands. Lucky to hit for sure. This is actually like, not to keep going on and on about the same thing, but the fact that we got them to Endurance there and then we still put an Archon into play is unreal. It's unreal how crazy how Witch's Cottage forces the graveyard hate. Their hand is currently Song of Creation mystery card. It's going to be very difficult for them to go off here with just 1 card in their hand. Certainly possible, but they're going to be dead to my attack. They draw 2 here. Why do we instep this? I wanted to find I wanted Grief to be a good hit so I could take their Song of Creation that we knew was in their hand. I didn't want to end of turn let them just cast the song. And they don't have like removal in their deck either, so it's like maybe Teferi. Would Chancellor of Annex be a good sideboard option for Stony if this deck gets popular? Stony Silence is like the best sideboard card in this deck. People look at Stony Silence and they have blue-white Control Brain and they're like, oh, this is like a hedge against Affinity and Hammer Time. That's not what Stony Silence is. Stony Silence is anti-graveyard hate. It's anti-graveyard hate against artifact-based graveyard hate. Against Murktide, against Grixis Shadow, against Hammer Time, against Affinity, against any Urza Saga deck. It's 2 mana, you have no graveyard hate. It also has incidental value against Mono Green Tron, which is one of your worst matchups. Also turns off their graveyard hate. Very good in that matchup. Good against Belcher. Also good against Hammer Time. Pitches to extra copies of Solitude against Hammer Time. Or extra copies pitched to Solitude against Hammer Time. It's like your best sideboard card. I would basically never play less than 3. Also, Chancellor of the Annex I think is not playable in Modern. And Legacy, like when games get decided on turn 1 and 2. And like Force of Negation, Force of Will is way more played in that format. It's more relevant. How was Applebee's? Applebee's was great. It was great. Okay, let's keep this hand. No ending for Utopia Sprawl. I think that's way too narrow. It's like only good against that. You can again suggest what you want me to play Prismatic Ending over, but I think that's just a bit too narrow. Why don't you play the 4th if it's the go-to? I mean, they're bad at multiples. I think 3 copies is the right number. 4 seems like 1 too many. 3, I've played 2 for a long time, and then I went up to 3, and I feel pretty comfortable at 3. Is Torpor played in the format? Like sometimes card decks will have it in the sideboard, but not very common. Deck Tick for Frost. You post a link in the chat. I can take a look. It'd be better to do it second main rather than instep. If you do it second main, the Archon bounces to your hand. Then, although I guess we could just Ephemerate it. Yeah, I guess with the Ephemerate in hand, you're supposed to main phase. Guess it's an interesting sequencing point. So Pioneer Humans continues to be how should I put this? Continues to be like a deck that everybody is playing and working on. Do not Veil of Summer me, please. Okay, thank you. I didn't have it in me. Although they didn't cast Utopia Sprawl. They didn't cast anything here. So my Teferi beats this Endurance pretty well, which is nice. I think I take the Sprawl with this one, and I can try to save the Grief for the Song of Creation. I call this deck Cottage Cheese. Someone wanted to call the deck the Cheese Touch, because it's Aethermage's Touch, and then Cottage Cheese. But you can call the deck whatever you want. But you know, the community has to decide what the deck's named at the end of the day. I would play 4 Luminarch Aspirate. I think this card's really good. I don't think that Kitesail Freebooter is very good either. I also think Adeline is better than Mantis Rider, so I would probably be on something like... But although... Okay, so I will just Stony Silence here. Turn them off of Song next turn. So yeah, so I think that Adeline is better than Mantis Rider, but I would be interested in 12 3-drops in your Collected Company deck, so... I would probably just be going like Kitesail Freebooters to the side, 4 Aspirant, 4 Adeline. Oh, maybe you want Brutal Cathar in the main. Maybe you don't anymore. That I don't know what note is out of the format. I'm not really 100% sure. I would probably recommend Rest in Peace over Hearse. It's close though. Rest in Peace is just like so divisive for them, you know. Okay, let's go and Teferi. If they cast Endurance, we'll just bounce it. And then I'm pretty likely to Grief and try to save their Song. That is true. It does turn their offers into a good counterspell, but thankfully you should be able to turn their counterspells off here. Is there a new Phoenix deck in Modern? I've been playing Is It Phoenix, which is like, it's a prowess variant with Ledger Shredder and Arc like Phoenix. I've been liking it. Okay, so my opponent's hand is Song of Creation, Endurance, Mystery card. I really want to save this grief for the Ephemerate. I don't know. I don't know if that's too greedy though. I guess I can. Yeah, I can just grief and then persist the grief. Although seeing that they don't have a 0-drop in their hand, maybe I just take the endurance so they can't just main face endurance to get rid of the grief. That's maybe fine. Let's see. I don't know that you need the Heron's Grace champion. I feel like the bird matchup's probably fine. But I feel like the Daredevils are pretty cuttable for the sideboard Kite Stuff Rebooters. I think the Chop Down's pretty cuttable. The Heron's Grace champion's pretty cuttable. Mass Vandal maybe somewhat cuttable, but maybe also fine. Ooh. Oh no. Oh no. Okay, I guess for whatever reason I was like, this can tap for mana because this is an Urborg, but this is a Yavimaya, not an Urborg. But if my opponent casts Song of Creation, I think we just chill. Their hand is Veil of Summer. Yeah, we should be okay here. If their last card is a 0-drop, they're still gonna be fine, and then I can go Unmarked Grave and then Persisted Terastodon. It's gonna be like I think effectively impossible for them to combo here, right? They can play a 1-drop now, but then they're just stuck on mana. Yeah, they're stuck on mana. They have to discard their hands. Then I can Unburial Rites Terastodon. Dude, the Terastodon's been great so far. I feel like it's been way better in this list than than in other versions I've played. Okay, so I'll play this Raffine's Tower so I can fetch up a Cottage to get back a Grief for next turn, maybe. Although, I probably want to kill one of my own lands, which is kind of fine. So let me go target Song of Creation, and then cut them off of white mana. Is the white mana more important than blue mana? I think blue mana is more important so they can't cast another song. Target my Cottage before this ability resolves. Fetch up a Cottage so I can grief. Coop, they go 14 months? Yeah, I think that's how I would approach building like the Coco version of Humans. There's also like the Pyre version of Humans, which is maybe better. Humans of Pioneer I do think is like an interesting, powerful deck that's like underplayed, but the best builds are tricky, of course. Yeah, let me do that, Doc. I thought I already did this. Okay. Don't think I am ephemerating my Terastodon, am I? If I ephemerate Terastodon, kill 3 of my permanents. I have 4 elephants in play. I bounce an elephant, they chump block 1, they have no cards in their hands. Yeah, I did this in their upkeep, so I would be able to grief whatever they drew for turn, right? They just play a land for turn though. Okay, they concede. Good look at this. You know what I mean? Like, your clock is just so abysmally slow. Your Tarmogoyfs are also going to be really small too. Early at least, where you don't have like cheap instants to turn them on. You have Prismatic Ending, don't draw your ending. It's like you're going to be playing a lot of 1/2 Tarmogoyfs early, which is not the best place to be. Okay, I think I keep this on 6 and try to draw a blue source. Going to put back my second Ephemerate. I would generally prefer to play like a bunch of Eladamri's Calls and then like 1 Titania, 1 Tracker, 1 Knight of the Reliquary. And then you can play Solitude, can Eladamri's Call for Solitude, give you a lot of equity in the Hammer Time matchup. I don't like playing 4 copies of Knight of the Reliquary in any deck. I think it's maybe an okay 1 of 2 to target, but unfortunately a card that is just not powerful enough to play as a 4 of, in my opinion. The second Yavimaya is probably not very good. Okay, I'm currently 0-1 against Yawgmoth. We really need to draw a blue source here, or that actually is better even. We kind of need to draw a land for next turn, either any land besides Cottage for our draw step, or any white source off the Archon trigger. We've got a chance. Solitude Ephemerate is also pretty nice at this matchup. But my opponent might just have like Bird into Grist into Yawgmoth here, which would not be very easy to beat either. Is this my new favorite deck? It is, yeah. That's the notification title. It's got one card in their hand, which we get to get out of their hand. So we didn't draw the land for our draw step. Hopefully the Archon is kind to us and gives us a fetch or Godless Shrine. Yeah. Yeah, Esper Triumph, maybe. We do have the Aethermage's Touch to get the Archon back if they kill it with Grist. We get, again, getting that last card out of their hand is really nice. It looks like that last card is important enough to save that they're cracking their Nurturing Peatland. So maybe Accord or Eldritch Evolution or Yawgmoth. Well, they may have played the Yawgmoth. So land would be so, or White Source would be very good here. Grief would be okay. Unmarked Grave, definitely not ideal. They discarded Grist. So they play Stringer guys. I think their last card's Eldritch Evolution. Because that would make sense for them to play the walls first. I guess they could have gone wall into Evo. Maybe I'm misreading. Maybe I'm not. Okay, I was wrong. Even though I was, even though their hand was not too good, we just haven't been able to draw lands, unfortunately. Even though we went up a land from today, actually. I have to cast this because it's the only card I can cast. I think I'm just putting another Archon into the yard because I have the rights in the hand. Pretty unfortunate. That being said, we've got some time. Like, my opponent can certainly brick, and we can maybe draw out of this. We could draw, like, draw a blue source, Tainted Indulgence, find a Solitude, Ephemerate, and just be right as rain. Could draw a Persist into a white source. Would Malic Rebirth be bad? If Malic Rebirth was a swamp, I'd be really into it. It's not, though, and I think that... I've played enough Mystic Sanctuary decks to know that, like, each like, non-type land you play in these, like, Throne of Eldraine land decks has a really big cost, and I don't think that the pros outweigh the cons there. Okay, Tainted Indulgence, really looking for Solitude. We'll take a Grief, though. Oh, damn, I tapped wrong. I can't believe it, I tapped wrong. Sorry, chat. We're not dead or anything, but being able to Solitude Ephemerate this turn was a pretty important thing. We're taking 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I can maybe still get bailed out here. One interesting thing, I think if we draw a Cottage, we're going to Cottage Aethermage's Touch, and then have Solitude pitch up. We can do that in their draw step, and maybe just bait the Grist minus. Is that good? I don't know. Draw step's nice, blanking the draw, then they Grist minus. We go up to 6. And then I can just flashback the rights next turn. Grist ult. Well, thankfully I gained 3 life. I'm not... Well, yeah, they might actually... So, yeah, if I go draw step Archon here. If I go draw step Archon, I go to 6. And then... They would think an Alpha Strike would give them lethal. Oh, it would. Sorry, I missed... They have enough Insect tokens. It would give them lethal. It would give them lethal, but I can Solitude my own Archon. I can Solitude my own Archon to gain 6. And then I can flashback rights on an Archon. I still have Ephemerate in my hand. I think that's gotta be the line. Flashback rights, leave Archon on top. I think that this is better. I get to blank the draw step with this line. I get to blank the draw step with this line. I get to bait the Grist ultimate, get the Grist off the table, and then get to flashback rights on Archon next turn, and potentially even Ephemerate in their draw step. Get bailed out a little bit. Obviously, if they draw exactly Court of Calling, this line feels so bad. Took this list of my list, I got the 4080. Oh, awesome. Yeah, I think this deck's great. Touch during combat. No, blanking the draw. They drew Yawgmoth for turn. Blanking the draw step is huge here. It's also like not like they like you don't play around anything with the touch in combat either. Okay, I don't know what they attack with the bird. So I block here. I take 4. And then I go down to 2. And then they can Grist minus to deal me 6. But then I Solitude my own Archon, gain 6 up to 8. Back down to 2. I didn't pay out the prediction before I got off? Okay. What was the... Does anybody remember what the last league was yesterday? I think it was 3-2. Can someone double check and then we can pay out that prediction? Okay, so I Archon... I guess I'm only going up to... I'm exactly alive. Exactly alive. Oh, I forgot the Grist counts itself. Okay, I miscalculated, but we're still at 1. And I drew, like, the literal best possible to blank their draw step again. Mr. Sari, thank you for the raid. Hope you're having a good day today. What a crazy match we're walking into. So hopefully they don't draw Court of Calling. They do not. We go up to 5. They drew Hierarch. And we win. Crazy. Unreal game. Unreal game. Obviously, like, that misclick, like, that mistapping there, like, the game would have been way closer if I hadn't mistapped, but we're able to find the line. Mr. Sari, 22 months. Appreciate you. 3-2. Okay, thank you, Doc. Looks like someone paid it out. Thank you, Doc, if that was you. Put in a lot of work lately. Yeah, tough game. I should just double Ephemerate. Sorry, I kind of slow rolling unintentionally. What a game. What a freaking game. What do you think about the Boros Lotus Field? I like the deck. I've been having a lot of fun with it. I think it's good too. Like, you know, I have a very positive win rate. Okay, I don't want to sideboard too heavily. I think on the play, I'm pretty interested in Ashiok. Turning off their searching effects. I think on the draw, it's not going to be very good. I do think on the draw, I want Prismatic Ending for sure. I think it's just likely going to be like -1 Grief, -3 Mulldrifter, +4 Ending. I wasn't slowing. I needed attack trigger. I could have upkeep ephemerated my Archon instead of attacking. Ashiok, I think Ashiok's good on the play, not on the draw. I'll bring it on the play for game 3 if we go there. Yeah, I know it shuts down Chord. I know what it does. It shuts down Chord evolution, but on the draw, again, for like the 3rd time, it's too slow, I think, on the draw. It's not a ley line. Not a ley line. Yeah, I think that the 3rd Cottage over the Teferi makes sense. I think it's still close. So I could maybe see switching back, but the 23 land feels good. I agree, Simon. Although, as we've established, all the Magic players play way too many lands. Okay, so this is a very interesting hand. We're either putting back Grief or Solitude. Grief is definitely better early here. Solitude is better overall, though. I think I'm going to put back the Solitude. And we're also like more likely to draw a black card for Grief, because I would kind of like to keep these two in hand, also. We fail to draw a black card, that's going to be okay, I guess. Land is not too bad with the Aethermage's touch. Hopefully they draw a spell we can discard next turn. Do you have any interest in brewing Pauper? Not really. I've played Pauper in the past. I think that I honestly am like a pretty I'm kind of very much not a fan of how in Pauper the format is defined by like master set cards and conspiracy cards and a lot of like kind of potentially unintentional additions to the format. It's just like, I don't know. It's not a huge deal, but that's a big part of the reason why I haven't been playing as much Legacy the last few years, is that like commander sets just end up like screwing over Legacy so often. It's like Image 2. It's a bit different where, at least for Image 2, these cards were like specifically designed for the format, but in like Pauper, like in Pauper, I don't know that you could say the same thing. Maybe you can. Morality, thank you for the 8 months. Appreciate you. I don't know. I mean, it's also like I just don't. I haven't like I watch Minguchi play Pauper sometimes. It's cool. It's fine. I'm also just like really into Modern and have been for a long time, so it's hard to juggle multiple formats at the same time. Like I'm also like, you know, still have to keep somewhat up with Pioneer. I want to play more Pioneer on stream. I just can't play every format. Draw Some Grief's kind of interesting, and then I get to take their card, and I get to have a pretty fast clock, but I'm just gonna take the Mulldrifter. Oh boy. Pretty good hits. And they just drew a stupid swamp. Why not Cottage? You want to leave Cottage in the deck. At this point in the game, a Witch's Cottage is a strictly better swamp. And there's nothing in my graveyard for me to Cottage back, so there's no reason to get Cottage here. The most interesting thing to me about Pauper is the new panel they got make adjustments to the format. Yeah, that is cool for sure. Yeah, I know. Listen, I don't mean to offend the Pauper fans. Pauper's fine. At the time of making this comment, it's not for me. Maybe one day I'll dip my toes in there. We're a couple cards different. It's probably fine. Alright, keep this. We just need some top decks. Got some good draws. Alright, definitely gonna try to use the Scry from the Goblin Guide here. Try to find Aethermage, just touch or persist. Unmarked Grave is interesting. I think I shuffle it. It's definitely not the highest upside card here. But it also like maybe just enables turn 4 Archon, but via Unburial Rites, which is maybe just more important. Typically like the burn matchup, but this is definitely a hand that could just maybe stumble and not get there. We'll see. What do you think about Pioneer Phoenix decks going down to 0/1 Temporal Trespass Galvanic Iteration? Trespass sometimes feels clunky early. Oh, we have Persist on top. Well, Pog. I would never go less than 2 Temporal Trespass. You can maybe play 1 iteration. It is clunky early. You have a ton of card selection early. You have Ledger Shredder to loot cards away. The Trespass iteration is a huge part of what makes me feel comfortable against the mono green matchup, having some kind of inevitability in the late game that they can't interact with. It's really important against other linear decks like Lotus Field. Like you could never beat Lotus Field without a Trespass iteration. I think that people like I wouldn't do it, but you know you could do whatever you want. All right, I'm gonna bring in the Prismatic Endings. I think over the Mulldrifters and click submit. Kind of easy sideboarding here. Yeah, like it's dead sometimes, but like you know you can say the same thing about Time Sieve, right? In the Esper Food deck, Time Sieve is dead sometimes, but Time Sieve also is an incredibly important part of your game plan that just wins the game in the late game. You know, I think it's fine. Yeah, Goblin Guide revealed Persist, so they need that they could concede. You think the Esper Food deck is still the best food deck in the current format? Yeah, pretty easily. I think the deck the Golgari is fine, but I've spent a lot of time on the food decks. The Esper variant is like easily the best. Oh, there she blows. Although I might Solitude pitching the Aethermage's Touch. It was also maybe better to play my a fetch land for some scry value, but I can Solitude this then Persist if they play another creature. I'll probably wait 1 turn, especially If I see something good, there's Tainted Indulgence on top. Oh, dude, Aethermage's Touch is kind of funny against Goblin Guide. Because it can help you see your top card. Esper better than blue-black? It is, but also, like, people get really lost in the sauce about Esper versus blue-black, where they are just the same deck. It's just, it's like just the same deck with a splash for sideboard cards. And the splash for sideboard cards is better than, like, not splashing for them. But they're not different decks. They're the exact same, like, almost the exact same main deck. Maybe one card different, and different sideboard cards. How good is Pioneer Creativity? I'm working on a Pioneer Creativity list that's trying to play... It was a chat suggestion, but trying to play Xenagos, God of Revels, and Emrakul, the Promised End. And so you always try to Creativity for 2, and then just attack them immediately for 26 trample. I'm pretty interested in it. I've been working on it for a while. There's like a lot of different, like, it could be mono red, you could be Gruul, you could be Izzet, and I don't know what the best, like, shell is, but that's something I'm working on. 2 Rift Bolts. Skewer me down to 6. So I think I can put I think I just put Rites in the yard so I can put a Solitude into play next turn, and then if they kill it, I can Cottage it back. Also, you know, gives me some equity against Eidolon specifically. I guess Swift Spear, but not Goblin Guide anymore. David has a neat Izzet version of what I described. Yeah, Secrets of the Key was a pretty interesting option when I was messing around with this. Okay, so they didn't draw a burn spell. They may have drawn a immediately punished for not getting Archon, by the way. You could put another Solitude in the yard just to Cottage, but then I get the Solitude a turn later, so I don't think that that's correct. Okay, so I can either try to hit a Archon or Solitude off of Aethermage's Touch. Yeah. I guess, yeah, we just do this. We just go Cottage back Solitude, Aethermage's Touch. We have 3 extra looks at an Archon. If we miss, we still just have a Solitude in play. Yeah, maybe they have Searing Blaze, but I feel like there's a good chance. I don't think we're supposed to play around Searing Blaze, because, like, they shouldn't keep it in against us. Yeah, this is a cool version. It's kind of similar to what I had. I don't think I was as in on Fire Prophecy like most of my drafts, but yeah, very similar. I do agree that the I was playing. I mean, you have to play Fable the Mirror Breaker. You can't. You have to play all of those. Okay, land. They don't have it. Why do it now? So if I do it now, I have 3 chances to hit Archon of Cruelty, which immediately gains me the life. So that way, if I do it end of turn, if my opponent is going to, if my opponent's going to draw a burn spell, they can respond to my Aethermage's Touch and just kill me. But if I do it now, that drawn Lightning Bolt or you know, Boros Charm or Lightning Helix won't kill me. I think a few more removal spells in your whole Creativity deck would make it a little bit better by turn. Yeah, Everose, friend of the channel, who has been playing a lot of deck on stream, and says he's been liking Izzet Charm over Censor for both like cheap removal, cheap you know, looting effects. Kind of exactly what you're describing, cheap interaction. Izzet Charm over the Censors, which is I think correct. Don't they always cast the burn spell, so they cast creature at instant speed is better. They cast the burn spell, respond. There's a really good chance that my opponent is going to hold the burn spell and play it at instant speed, and not just main phase it. If I was the burn player in that spot, I would never just main phase it. I think, especially if I knew my opponent was playing Aethermage's Touch. Cauldron Familiar. But they can have counter spells. They can have a few different things, and also like. They just like or I just had put Solitude on top, so it looks like I'm going to cast a Solitude, or it looks like I'm going to Aethermage's Touch, and like you could just get your opponent to tap out and then jam. So they're probably playing the green-black food deck, if I had to guess. For creativity is Locust God and Saga of the Fails. 2 lost in the sauce for insta-kill. I don't know what Sage of the Falls does. I imagine it insta-kills with Lotus God. I think that Emrakul and Xenagos are almost always going to end up being more resilient, but... Or maybe, you know, read what those do. Why play Shrine over fetching the Tri-land? I was thinking I was wanting to draw a land, right? Where playing the Godless Shrine gives you a better chance to draw a land. I guess I'm not interested in drawing the Triome, so maybe it was better to fetch there. I think it's a good shell for Memory Deluge in Modern. Yeah, we've been working on Temur Reclamation and Jeskai Lotus Field are both really good shells for Deluge. There's also boring blue-white control. So I think I'm supposed to Solitude the Asmo before I Persist here. Oh, should have stacked my triggers a bit better. Because sometimes they'll kill the Solitude in response here to stop me from ephemerating on the Cauldron Familiar. Not that that's my plan, but just make them think about it. Mulldrifter's just better than Gristlebrand. Well, Gristlebrand, again, doesn't work with Unmarked Grave Persist. You can't play the deck. I know it works well with Aethermage's Touch, but Mulldrifter's also insane in the deck. I can't sing Mulldrifter's praise high enough. I know it's weird. It's weird in 2022 to be talking about Mulldrifter being an insane card, but it's really good with Ephemerate. It's really good with Persist. It's really good with Aethermage's Touch. A lot of times your opponents are going to be mulliganing to Graveyard Hate, and you just need to draw cards. You need to outgrind your opponent, and Mulldrifter does that really well. The card is just like... It is just perfect in the deck. We'd better to Solitude the cat so they can't recur it and have a second Persist. If you do that, then they can kill the Archon with the Asmo trigger. But then we can Persist the Archon, so maybe that's fine. I'm not too scared of the cat, though. Maybe I should be. So I'm going to go Tainted Indulgence here. If I draw a land, I'll, I think, just Persist. If I don't draw a land, I'll Ephemerate the Archon. Did not draw the land. Just get their last card out of their hand. No, I guess I'll do this in response to them Cauldron Familiaring. I don't think I desperately need to just find my land right now. Oh, I thought this was already the yard. Never mind. I guess it doesn't really matter. We should be in really good shape here. Reveals Witch's Oven. Second Cauldron Familiar. So looks like they are not going to be making a Saga token, which is nice. I think they're dead. They gain 3 off the food token, go to 11. Died to my Persisted Archon. I think I like to do this instead of Aethermage's Touch to not show them that I have Aethermage's Touch necessarily. Genetic, thank you for 3 months. Appreciate you. Yeah, I think Archon of Cruelty is a really good design. Feels like they really nailed the power level of the card. Maybe Cottage back Solitude. I don't think I really want to. I mean, they're just dead. They're just dead, right? Yeah, can they go up to 7? Oh, they can go up to 7. Okay. What needs to happen to Modern where Path sees a lot of play again? Why do people want to play Path decks? I don't understand. Path was the worst freaking card in Modern for the long. I hated to play Path deck style. I hated to play Path deck style. That card was miserable to play with. You would just Path a Goblin Guide on turn. You would fetch Shock a Hallowed Fountain, and then you would Path a Goblin Guide on turn 1. You want to do that again? Why? Why do people want to play Path deck style again? That card is miserable to play with. Pathing and Archon seems great. You have Solitude now. You have Solitude. Solitude is so much better. Fell the trigger for Spike? I guess. I just don't know why people, like... I as someone who registered 4 Path to Exiles in Modern for many years, I am thrilled I never have to cast that card again. I'm thrilled that there are better options, because that card always felt so miserable to cast. Yeah, we can miss a casting Electrolyze. Electrolyze is a card that felt good to cast. I hated to cast Path. People really like 1-mana rule spells. I didn't like that one. That's true. The GP promos do look good, really good. The FNM promos are also really nice too. I like the FNM promo a lot. Would you guys ever just fetch and shock on turn 1 and Path to Exile a Goblin Guide? You want that timeline again? You want that timeline again? No thanks. Okay. Ashiok stopping Asmo Surge, stopping Saga Search is kind of nice. The Stony Silences have got to be great though. I don't want the Greaves. I think I want the endings too. I think I'm gonna go down like 1 Mulldrifter, 1 Ephemerate, play 3 endings, and then maybe Ashiok gonna play not in the draw. Donnie, think of the deck tech. Keep this hand. Azurius Murktide. I've seen a Dingo playing some of this deck. I don't know how good it is. So I'm not a big fan of Faithful Mending in decks like this that have no cards to discard for value and don't care about getting like multiple like cast triggers. So like one of the few exceptions to where I've liked Faithful Mending in decks that can't discard anything for value is the 4-color General Rockrick deck, because in that deck you could you would get to trigger your... So I'm going to take my Indulgence. Pretty good draw for them. So, double Thoughtseize, Overgrown Tomb, Saga Cookbook. You would get to trigger your Rockrick multiple times. You could loot away extra lands in your 4 of Wrenn and 6 deck. You could loot away your extra Wrenn and 6. That was kind of nice. Here, I think that Faithful Mending being card disadvantage is going to be apparent a lot of the time, and Faithful Mending being card disadvantage is something that, like you're really, really not interested in a deck like this that's, like, mono 1-for-1s, you know? I guess you can discard Mending to Ledger Shredder for value, which I don't think is a good enough reason to play it, but that's something, I guess. Okay, I need to find a land. They'll probably find Graveyard Hate off the Saga, though. We're pretty behind. Do I want to have Solitude Ephemerate up here? Yes. So I would be cutting all the Faithful Mendings. I'll be playing 4 Archmage's Charm, because I can't get away from the freaking card. I would probably be playing 4 Ending, 2 March, because killing a turn 1 Ragavan seems really important for this like deck in particular. Maybe we'll play 3rd Solitude, maybe not. I would never register a Celestial Colonnade in Modern. I would play just like the first Hall of the Storm Giants. Maybe. I always really dislike playing Verdict in the sideboard of these like Ledger Shredder, Murktide, or Stoneforge Mystic decks. It's just like, just be a creature deck, or be a or don't be a creature deck, but pick a lane. Yeah, you can play Thought Scour over Mending. I don't know that you need the cantrips necessarily so much, but yeah, you can play Thought Scour. You can play Opts. Alright, so we're looking to draw Stony Silence. We're looking to draw a fetch land or Cottage here. We have 3 cottages now, so our cottage count is up to 14. Yeah, I think that's kind of all the thoughts I have here. You can play Spell Pierce too, the main. Alright, so lots of good draws here. Lots of bad ones too. Alright. So will my opponent have the knowledge to Nile Spellbone? They do not. They do not. Do you think this is good enough to bring to a larger paper tournament? Last time I streamed the deck on Wednesday or Tuesday, I would have said, no, I don't know yet. But at the time of making the comment, I think this deck is nuts. I think this deck's nuts. Oh, they even knew this was in the hand, yeah. They just like classic, they don't know how to play against the card. That's true. Simon made a good point, I guess. Yeah, this deck is... I need to freaking order my cards, but I should have time because I'm not playing an RCQ this weekend or a tournament this weekend. Just yeah, keep lobbying for the cheese touch deck name, Jake. It'll get there, I think. Why cheese touch? Yeah, it's kind of a stretch, but it's like cottage cheese, and then Aethermage's touch. Jake has been lobbying for the cheese touch deck name for a few streams now. So they're going to crack their spell bomb, and this does get bounced back to hand. We got a lot of good top decks. Is there ever going to be another trophy race? I think I'll do one at one point, but you know, I've been saying this a bunch lately. I'm not really interested in doing the trophy race just to do it. I'm going to do it because I want to, and I'm interested. Partially because there's no chance I'm going to win if I'm still like. If I ever half-ass it, I have to whole-ass it, and I do think I will be in the mood to do it at some point. I don't know when. It might happen this next season. So I have only one Archon left in the deck. I may just like... I think I'm just going to probably chump block the Saga token, and then Cottage it back. Cottage back the Solitude and Aethermage's touch. Screamish, thank you for the 6 months. Appreciate ya. If I take this deck to an RCQ, so like there is a world where I would take it. I think that there's a good chance I would be like, if I had RCQ right today, I would register it. 32-6 is like a really good record. It's like very hard to like argue with that number. I think like as like not saying that it is like the best choice, but it's hard to argue that like that's not like an incredible record that like you should be happy. Registering a deck with that record at a tournament, you know. This Stony Silence really worth it. So yeah, we can ask this a lot. People think that you have people who are asking about Stony Silence. You have blue-white control brain. You have blue-white control brain. We need to free you from this affliction. Stony Silence is 2 mana. Your graveyard hate doesn't work. Against Nihil Spellbomb decks, Relic of Progenitus, Unlicensed Curse. It's 2 mana. Your graveyard hate does not work. This is your best sideboard card. It's win more? Let's get a trophy prediction going. Every card looks win more in this deck as we win so much. Well, we're on the play against Yorion, which is usually a great matchup with nut draw hands, so I'll keep. Hey Spike, Modern Horizons too bad. I guess this hand would have been perfect if this Archon was or Solitude was a grief. Yeah, Solitude was grief. Wait, my opponent's 0-1? Yeah, there's something going on with the Magic Online matchmaking. It's been weird. Prismatic Vista, Mountain Ragavan. I think I'm gonna take a hit from Ragavan. I don't have any Thoughtseizes in the main deck. Just kill it with the Archon trigger, will be okay. Famous last words, I guess. Boros Yorion taxes? Maybe. Yeah, the prediction? The prediction's, I think, over already, or it's live, I don't know. Ooh, dude, basic play. Okay, so what could they have at 3 mana that stops me from Arconing next turn? Not really anything, surely. Surely this should be fine. Right? I don't think there's like any moon. Oh yeah, that'll do it. That'll do it. Oh yeah, made that containment priest. So that one, we're just gotta think about Solitude in here, right? So I mean, I thought that they were just like regular 4-color. They might still be regular 4-color on math, and they just have Prismatic Vista Ragavan in their hand. But it does kind of look like red-white, like Moon, Yorion. I think Death and Taxes will ever be as good in Modern as it is in Legacy. Well, I can't see the future, but it is historically a deck that I haven't, like, I don't think is very good, so... You know, like, I don't think that they will ever or should ever put Wasteland and Rishadan Port into Modern, and, like, those two cards are a huge part of, like, what makes Legacy Death and Taxes good, and is a huge part of, like, what makes Aether Vial so good in that deck, so... if Modern Death and Taxes were ever to be as good as Legacy Death and Taxes, which is maybe not that good, if it were ever to be as good, then it would have to be a different, or would likely have to be a different reason why. Plowshare in Modern. Anybody who asks for Swords to Plowshares in Modern is a greedy blue-white control player who is out of their mind asking for Swords to Plowshares in Modern. Literally out of their mind. Yeah. I'm out of fear of Blood Moon. I solituded the Ragavan because they play 2 basics. This card's Rip Apart. Okay, we're probably gonna lose. I don't know. We're gonna get Path exiled. Please path me. Okay, Solitude. Solitude pitch a second copy of Rip Apart. Ephemerate, I guess that part's fine, probably. Two cards left in their hand. Bolts me. I got down to 21. Looks like Niptolite. No, they're definitely on some kind of Boros Yorion brew. Mulldrifter here to save us. I haven't had many Mulldrifter games so far today. Let's definitely get a Cottage it back here. Unmarked Grave for Rites. I think it's just better to take this line, but if I didn't draw the Mulldrifter, I was like gonna do that, yeah. GG. Yeah, last turn I wanted to Cottage it back, so there was no room to draw Ephemerate. Tage, thank you for the 2 months, appreciate you. I think I'm gonna Aethermage's Touch because it's like way more mana efficient here. And I get to do it on my opponent's upkeep. Oh, I think I don't need to attack. I'm just winning the long game. Fetch no fetch basic. It's gonna fetch a Cottage, I think. That is true, I might still lose to Blood but I've already taken this line. Thoughts on Priest for Rites in the case of Unburial, because you can Cottage it back and with touch. Priest just costs 1 more mana and it costs you 3 life to activate it too. It is a hit off of Aethermage's Touch that's relevant. Cottaging it back is relevant. I like the idea. I think it's a good thought, but I think you still just want to play. I think it's just not where you want to be. But I do like the thought. I don't think it's a bad thought. It's 1 more mana. It costs you like the 3 life to activate. Oh my gosh, Johnny! It costs the 3 life to like bring back and like makes it harder to stabilize, especially because it's so slow. Better against counter spells, obviously. We're 4-0 and our opponent just discarded a Johnny Vengeance. Okay, well, I don't know how to sideboard against Boros and Johnny. So we saw Ragavan, Solitude, Johnny, multiple copies of Rip Apart, Ephemerate. Probably just want to bring in these Prismatic Endings. Prismatic Endings for Griefs, and I probably want to cut... Maybe play one Teferi over Ephemerate 4. Moon is 100% in the deck. Yeah, Moon's got to be in the deck, which kind of makes me want to keep Grief in. Stony Silence probably. You only bring in Stony Silence against decks that are playing artifact-based graveyard hate. Again, no blue-white control brain with Stony Silence. They're also an 80-card deck, so it's always so hard to play around and drawing their Blood Moon early, you know. Restrictotron, I think they 6 months. Yeah, I think that maybe we're supposed to play Grief over Ending, but especially on the draw, my opponent's going to be able to Ragavan me, and they also they probably have Rest in Peace in their deck too, and Prismatic Ending being answered to Rest in Peace I think is really important. My opponent submitted 84. Were they 84? Were they 84 in game 1? I think that they were 80 game 1. Dude, we're 4-0. Where are these opponents during the true? I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm in some ways I'm more scared of opponents like this. They were 84 game 1. I think I keep this. We have so many good draws. It's close. So I'm gonna play this tapped, and then I'll play the Delta, and if they have a Moon effect for turn 3, I can at least fetch my Swamp. So this is good if they have Magus of the Moon, I guess. Yeah, there's definitely something wrong with the pairing. It's the queue times are really long, and yesterday we were 4-0, we got played against an 0-0. Now we're getting paired against an 0-1. They do have Magus of the Moon, so I can just chill here. I think I need to at least take... Well, they have Ephemerate, so maybe I need to Solitude them while they're tapped out, but I can at least get this Watery Grave into play without paying any life, which is kind of cool. And I think I just made... Oh, yeah, main phase. And if they have another Magus, I can persist my Solitude, I guess. Not fetching Swamp response to Magus. I'm just going to Solitude it, so I don't need to. And then, I kind of need this to give me white mana after I Solitude the Magus. But I don't know. This is also... there's probably, a delay in the chat, but I keep, explain my line very clearly into... Wait, not fetching Swamp? Spike, not fetching Swamp? Is Ephemerate not worth it? I don't think so. I kind of want to save the Ephemerate for the Aethermage's touch turn. I also might Cottage back my Solitude, just guarantee that I can hit that. No, I could Ephemerate because I could Solitude the Magus, and then I can fetch for a Godless Shrine before the Evoke trigger resolves. Discard Fury and Ephemerate. Oh, well. Yes. Let me put the Solitude on top. So I can survive. I can, get another Magus, but I'm just going to try to Archon here. Yeah, I imagine it's a delay issue. Although, wait, how could it be a delay issue, though? Because I'm, explaining the line as I'm taking. I don't know. It's okay. It's okay. This is always an educational place. We're trying to discuss lines, get better. It's okay. Just noticed it happened more today. Oh, I did shuffle the Solitude. Well, oops. Wait, did I? Unmarked Grave, Solitude on top, cast Unmarked Grave. Cast. Yeah, I did shuffle it away. I drew it anyways. Magic Online, thanks. Thanks, Magic Online. Is that a bug? Should we test this? Should we test this?
It's not definitely a bug. It's not definitely a bug. It might be, though. I might test it off stream and just see. Dude, people keep boiling me. It was actually good this time. Naturally drew 2 Watery Graves. Gross. Fetch land? No. They discard Avalanche Riders. Okay, so I think we kind of got a better idea what's going on over there. They haven't conceded, so maybe their last card is Solitude. That would be gnarly. Wandering Emperor or Johnny. Oof, Johnny in particular. It is Solitude. Fuck. That being said, we've got plenty of good good draws here. Most of them are just like a land, I think. Persist is good too. Okay. So I think I just go grab Archon, play Mire. I don't think I want to Solitude Ephemerate now. Saving it for a Magus seems kind of important. And then I may even want to get my last Watery Grave. I have one more Watery Grave. But I'm probably going to, next turn, if I'm almost definitely just going to get a Unburial Rites. And then maybe I would even want to... I could maybe draw land and Ephemerate my Archon. We have 3 Cottage in the deck, so we still have 1. We're up to 3 for today. It felt like a good change. We had 1 flex spot in the list up to this point, which was the copy of Teferi, the Fun Raveler. Yorion into the hand. Hold a fetch if we draw lands. Yeah. I really want them to play the Yorion, so I think I'm going to just try to bait it by taking the hit. And I can Solitude Ephemerate, get rid of everything. It's bad. We could draw for them. How many? I have 2 Godless Shrines still in the deck. Do you think they're a Raveler deck? No. They should have attacked because I have the Ephemerate, right? Although I guess if they... No. Yeah, they should attack every time there. We have a lot of fetches in the deck. Yeah, 84 cards, by the way. Pretty good. The last card is a Yorion. They would draw step for turn. I'm just waiting brought back. Yeah, any land in the deck enters untapped here because we have the Raffine's Tower in the yard. Pog. No, they submitted 84 cards game 1. As much as I love to give my opponent the benefit of the doubt, they submitted 84 game 1. The last card's Ephemerate. No, Spikefield Hazard. How many lands have we lost? They boiled Raffine's Tower, 2 Watery Graves, and then they Avalanche Riders and a Godless Shrine. 84 cards, by the way, dude. This is twice in a row now. They've top decked a Solitude against my Archon. Amazing. And I don't have an Archon in the yard to set up with an 8 for an Aethermage's Touch. 84 cards, by the way. I don't have any more Watery Grave, so I can't evoke the Mulldrifter this turn. I think I'm supposed to just graveyard the Mulldrifter, and then Cottage it back, and then hardcast it next turn. I'll also just offer the trade, I guess. They decline the trade. Pretty good. So my Archon does not trigger anymore. But it is Mulldrifting time. Date limit. Well, you have a lot of decks. Yeah, I've got 3 years of streaming decks constantly every day. Always trying new stuff. And some of it's even good. Opponents at 7 life. They're not like down to trade. Yeah, Drifter's so freaking good. Oh, wait, I just realized we got Faithful Absence. It didn't even, like, phase me. I know I do delete Decklist. I do delete Decklist. Maybe not as often as I should, but I do. You have one more Godless Shrine, right? No, 2 more? One more? I think I just hardcast Solitude on the Solitude and present lethal. I guess I'll play around top deck Ephemerate. Amaria's call incoming. Amaria's call incoming. Alright, ripped apart. Besides Teferi plus and hold up the Solitude. Cast Teferi, bounce would have won. Did they just rip apart a Mulldrifter instead? No! My Mulldrifter. Wait, I guess we do have get to bring it back for lethal. I don't want to say GG. Opponent might have some kind of goofy cycler, but I'll just attack. Okay, 5-0 our first league of the day. We advance to 34-6 with what is my new favorite deck in Modern. YC, I think with 10 months, appreciate ya. We'll put a Boros Garrison, Alternate Ignoble Hierarch, EDH Band, Sylvan Primordial. Not too good.